From 1950 to unknown date, gay and lesbians have been abused for their love for being who they were. Around 1970, the Gay Rights Amendment took place by the government, but when this news hit the cities, only about 10 to 15% of all people paid any attention to it. The government was furious, and the president did a public speech about equal rights, only to be completely ignored. At last, the government gave up, and people took advantage of this and started killing the gays. Nowadays, gays and lesbians are still killed and beaten, and we have done very little about it. In this documentary, I will talk about the Gay Rights Amendment, government effects, and today. In the 1950s and 1960s, lesbian and homosexual civil rights societies emerged. The Mattachine Society, men, and the Daughters of Bolitas, women, both were formed in the 1950s. The Daughters of Bolitas began as a social club that evolved into a political organization focused on civil rights for lesbians. The Mattachine Society was specifically formed for freedom of speech and civil rights, such as the right to be a homosexual and not be fired from a job. There were two societies that supported gay and lesbians. The Mattachine Society wanted to make it so gays could keep a job, and not to hide the fact that they were homosexual. The Daughters of Bolitas wanted to do the same, but for lesbians. These were the first groups that helped support gay and lesbians before the Gay Rights Amendment took place. The political goals shift from fitting in, earning, or gaining acceptance by the mainstream society to a demand for rights and an end to discrimination, violence, and other acts directed against gays and lesbians. Straight people were starting to use violence against gays to get them to listen to them, and the government didn't care and often made the police take no action. June is International Gay Pride Month, a concept which in itself would have been unthinkable a half-century ago. And looking back on the history of what we today call the struggle for gay rights or gay liberation, communist and socialist contributions to that struggle are deserving of both recognition and analysis. Nowadays we celebrate gays, but about 74 years ago, the thought of celebrating them was unthinkable, since they didn't have the same equal rights. But some people today do prefer not to celebrate the gays, thinking that they shouldn't be allowed to walk down the streets. In conclusion, gay rights has changed a lot over the years, but we still have room for improvement. We can still change our ways and give them the equal rights they deserve. In some ways, we have given them those rights. Instead of giving them a week to celebrate their sexuality, we can do more, like giving them the freedom of marriage in every state.